Today, we're going to take a look at how you can mix the kick to full effect. Let's go. Now, obviously, if you are mixing a kick that has been played by a drummer on an acoustic drum kit, that is going to require much more processing than a synthetic kick sample. But if you are using samples, make sure you get high quality samples to begin with from like Splice. So the first thing I like to do is treat the kick for unwanted frequencies and looking for masking. If we take a look at my core frequency chart here, we can see that the kick drum clashes with so many different instruments in the lower end of the mix, and so this needs treatment. So here I'm going to use the FabFilter Pro Q3 to connect the kick with the bass. And as you can see, they are sitting in exactly the same space, so these two need a bit of separation. If we look at the kick and bass in this example, we can see that both of their core energy tends to sit around 60 Hz. And because the kick has more energy in this area than the bass, I've decided to cut the kick in this area using a bell filter. Just a little bit of a cut here to let the bass breathe in this area. Now, if this was an acoustic kick played by a drummer, I might use dynamic EQ in this instance to cope with the varying dynamics. Once masking has been dealt with, I'm going to shape the tone of the kick. Now, between around 400 to 500 Hz is where you can get a lot of mix build-up, and the kick can cause a bit of boxiness here. So a small cut there, and then at around 80 Hz is where you get a lot of the power and punch coming from the kick, so a small increase there. Now, a lot of the time, we want the kick to have a bit of an attack and a little bit of presence in the top end, so boosting around 2 to 5 kHz can be really beneficial. You might want to boost this area or cut it depending on the kick. Next, I'm going to move on to some compression. Now, if I'm using a kick sample, more often than not, I won't even reach for the compressor. That's because a kick sample copy and pasted is going to have the same velocity throughout the track. It doesn't need leveling out. If your kick does need smoothing out, then I suggest starting with a ratio of around 4:1. The attack and release will be so important here because they will determine how punchy your kick will be. If you want a punchy kick, try starting with a slow attack, and if it's too punchy and you need more body, then aim for a fast attack. Again, the release will depend on what you are compressing, but I like to start around 40 ms and then tweak back from there. Now, if after that your kick is still lacking power and punch, then consider layering the kicks with different samples. Have a sample that's deep, one that's middle, and one that's high. That usually does the trick, but if you really need to add more power, consider adding subtle saturation. I'm using Saturn II here to actually select a certain part of the frequency spectrum to add saturation to. Try starting adding your saturation around 50 to 80 Hz for that punch. Here's an A/B test. Put on your headphones so you can hear the difference. I'm Aubrey Whitfield. Thanks for watching.